It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Friday, January 17th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by Visit Casper. Visit Casper invites you to come enjoy the Casper International Film Festival, January 31st through February 2nd. A broad range of films from local and international filmmakers will be shown. Learn more and get your tickets at visitcasper.com. A Wyoming legislative bill called the What is a Woman Act survived a rigorous debate in the House of Representatives on Thursday. The act, House Bill 32, cleared its first vote in the Wyoming House of Representatives. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that the debate brought questions of whether it violates the separation of powers principle.
This bill wants to define any term referencing males or females, whether it's boy, girl, man, woman, mother, father, according to biological sex. That's A. B, it wants to tell the courts to give a friendlier interpretation of sex separation laws, or some would say anti-transgender laws. So it wants the courts to just back off a little and not hold those sex separation laws to such a high standard. Representative Ken Chestick, recently retired law professor, got kind of engaged. He was saying courts don't like it when you tell them which constitutional standard to use. Those things are either set in the language of the Constitution or courts kind of ascertain them themselves.
If it became law, the bill would define male and female according to biological sex across Wyoming's law books. It would also defend sex-based separations of government-run facilities like prisons and bathrooms in public buildings. Randy Kane was sound asleep in the wee hours of November 23, 2023, when without warning, a team of federal agents, armed and in full gear, showed up at the door of his home in Bighorn, a small community in Sheridan County. The search was based upon accusations that, as a convicted felon, he was in illegal possession of numerous firearms. But Kane told Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines that he and his girlfriend were baffled because, as they understood it, Kane's firearms rights had been restored by the state of Wyoming.
Wyoming has this in statutes where if you are a non-violent felon and you fulfilled your obligation to the state will restore your rights, including your firearms rights. And this gentleman had, to his understanding, including a letter from the governor's office, had his firearms rights restored. But apparently there's a gap between that and the federal understanding. The feds still think that, okay, you're a felon, you can't possess firearms.
Kane said he was never arrested or served with any charges. His lawyer recently told him that he's out of any legal peril, but the couple said that they still haven't gotten any of their seized guns back. An investigation at a Gillette assisted living center is underway after an 88-year-old female patient from the memory care wing was found dead in an outside courtyard at the facility. 3 employees at the Legacy Living and Rehabilitation Center connected to the incident remain suspended, according to Cowboy State Daily's Jen Coker.
All we know at this point that the woman is deceased. She was found outside, and obviously it was cold temperatures, but the cause of death is undetermined at this point. And I did speak to the coroner, Paul Wallum, and he promised to release his results as soon as the police investigation is complete.
The National Weather Service for Gillette reports that the temperatures January 10th were between 10 and 35 degrees, with 2 inches of snow having fallen the day prior. State Senator Larry Hicks of Baggs apologized Thursday for calling out the abortion voting record of a fellow legislator 2 days earlier. Hicks had tried to block Senator Eric Barlow of Gillette from becoming chair of the Senate Labor, Health, and Social Services Committee on the first day of the 68th legislature on Tuesday because Hicks saw as Barlow not having a strong enough stance opposing abortion. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that Hicks addressed Barlow and said that he believed that on at least 1 or 2 circumstances, he may have misrepresented Barlow's voting record.
It wasn't necessarily a full, deep, complete apology. There was some caveats to it. For one, he said that he stands by his beliefs and what he was asserting there. He also acknowledged that he believes Barlow has become much more pro-life than he was in the past, and he acknowledges and respects that.
Hicks' attempt to block Barlow as chair of the Labor and Health Committee was resoundingly defeated on a 28-3 vote. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
Well, here we are. The Arctic front is pushing into northern Wyoming, so the much talked about front is going to be sweeping its way across the state today. While the coldest of the cold is going to wait till the weekend, you're going to notice temperatures falling across the state today, a cold north wind, and we're going to see a band of light to moderate snow moving north to south across the state. Nobody's going to get a ton of snow, but a lot of you will see 1 to 3 inches of snow on the plains, maybe a pocket or two of a little bit more than that, heavier amounts in the mountains. But it's the combination of the snow, the limited visibility, the falling temperatures, and the very icy roads and highways that will be developing today, tonight, into Saturday morning that will be a concern for travelers. Then we just wait for the Arctic air to pour out of Canada, through Montana, into Wyoming and the Dakotas and the western high plains. The coldest temperatures of the year coming. A lot of you will be in the single digits and teens at best Saturday. A lot of you will be near to below zero Saturday night. The night that looks really, really cold will be Sunday night into Monday, and then maybe Monday night into Tuesday. Those nights, probably all of the state will be below zero. And depending on snow cover, the amount of wind, and whether or not we have lingering flurries, temperatures could vary widely in terms of overnight low temperatures. You might have an area or two right around 5 below. You might have some areas 30 below, all depending on your location. River valleys, snow-covered basins will be the coldest. This cold is going to be sticky. Monday and Tuesday will be very cold before we get a little bit of a warm-up on Wednesday.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 20 seconds with more news.
When we say community is the heart of Hilltop, we're talking about a team of bankers committed to improving the place we call home. A team that shows up every day to help businesses thrive and gives back to our neighbors through time, attention, and service. We're inspired by the way our bankers give back because that's one of the many qualities that makes us truly a community bank. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
A bill that will prohibit the transfer of property near critical infrastructure to foreign adversaries is moving out of committee with a unanimous vote from Senate Appropriations. Senate File 76 directs the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security to review and investigate property transfers near critical infrastructure to ensure that none are transferred to prohibited foreign parties. But Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that with more than 1 million real estate transactions happening in Wyoming each year, the task is likely to require more personnel than what the bill has outlined to sort out the details pertaining to this proposed rule.
Wyoming has a lot of foreign investors who are good partners and who are creating jobs in the state. And then beneficial owners are not identified in Wyoming in all cases. So that would be an additional hurdle. How would you even know that this company is a foreign adversary if you don't know who the beneficial owners really are? Where is the critical infrastructure in Wyoming? And then how can we track all of the real estate transactions in those zones?
Wyoming Office of Homeland Security Director Lynn Budd told lawmakers that she agrees that the matter is a national security issue, but added it's also important to protect and support not only Wyomingites, but people in other states that Wyoming serves. A 59-year-old Casper man who investigators say is linked to more than 1,000 images and videos of child pornography, as well as drug possession, pleaded not guilty in Natrona County District Court on Thursday. Mark Chanez is facing 9 felony charges in the case, according to Cowboy State Daily's Dale Killingbeck.
He's the gentleman that told investigators initially that he was saving the images to turn over to Facebook, and then he told police that he was saving the images and was going to report it to the Casper Police Department, which they found that he never did.
While executing the search warrant on Chanez, agents also found controlled substances in his living room. Chanez admitted the drugs belonged to him. There was some unexpected debate on Thursday in the Wyoming House over a bill that would require proof of United States citizenship to register to vote in Wyoming. The House refused to consider an amendment that State Representative Mike Yin, a Democrat from Jackson, tried adding to the bill on Thursday. His amendment would make it much more expansive by requiring proof of U.S. citizenship from all people attempting to vote in Wyoming. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that Representative John Baer of Gillette, who proposed opposed the original bill, said Yin's amendment wasn't relevant as his bill applies to new voter registrants.
The Freedom Caucus have been very adamant about tightening Wyoming's voter laws and really trying to make elections as secure as possible in the state. It was surprising that Yin, a Democrat, kind of on the other side of the political spectrum from the Freedom Caucus, would propose this. It was rejected by the House, who ruled that it was not relevant to the bill and not an amendment that could even be considered.
Baer argued it wasn't relevant as his bill applies to new voter registrants only. Although he said he agreed with the sentiment of Yin's amendment, Baer still didn't view his bill as the right place for the requirement. And the calm before a Subzero storm is about over for much of Wyoming, with the next several days expected to hammer the Cowboy State with a surge of sub-zero temperatures, snow squalls, and dangerously low wind chills. And Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that nobody in Wyoming is avoiding this one.
The weather that's arriving this morning and is going to sweep across Wyoming by this evening is going to be in three distinct phases that people need to be aware of. The first phase is wind and light fluffy snow and a drop in temperature. That's going to extend throughout Friday, and it's going to make traveling hazardous because all of that wet snow that's melted on the highways is going to freeze immediately and then be covered by another layer of snow. The second phase is going to be the sub-zero surge. That's when we're talking about daytime highs in the teens and single digits and wind chills pushing that to 30 below zero, if not lower in some places. Then the third phase is what Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day calls a classic Chinook, which is when the temperature rapidly rises. That means there's going to be a huge amount of winds.
The National Weather Service forecasts say Wyoming can expect to see low temperatures ranging anywhere from -4 in some areas to as cold as -17 or perhaps even colder. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.